And we are live. So let's get the party started. Hello, Planet Earth. Welcome to Lilia's Weekly Wednesdays, and thank you for joining us again. I'm Lilia. My pronouns are she and hers, and as the creator of Facialteam's 3,000 plus Facebook peer group, founded 8 years ago, I've been an ally to the trans community since 2008, and I've always felt like a patient advocate. And I'm keenly aware that researching gender identity services is often overwhelming, which is why we created this platform to provide information, but also to do some fun things like we're going to do today. So we like to highlight some of the amazing people in the world who happen to be trans and to have this platform to provide a beacon of inspiration for you, our followers. So today I'm very honored to welcome two special guests from two continents as usual. Sarah O'Connell from the Sarah O'Connell Show in the UK. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi Lilia, how are you today?
Very good, thank you.
Fantastic.
And Marisa Farmer from the US. Very talented.
Oh, hi there.
Hello, very talented performance artist. So welcome, both of you. And you both happen to do a bit of comedy, so no fun allowed today, okay?
All right, business mode only. Manila folders.
Yeah, this is all going to be very serious. Nobody's going to enjoy a single second of it, I promise you.
Nothing, no smiling, laughing allowed, okay?
And
that goes for you too. For everybody who's listening now, please tell us in the comments below where you're from and what your questions are so that we can include them into the discussion today. So Sarah, can you start off by introducing yourself a little bit? Let us know about yourself.
It would be my absolute honour. So my name is Sarah O'Connell. I host the multi-award avoiding Sarah O'Connell Show on YouTube, which is an entertainment show featuring celebrity interviews, and there's special episodes where there's singers and magicians and good stuff like that, and I speak to actors and directors and comedians and all that good stuff.
Let us know about yourself.
It would be my absolute honour.
Sorry about that. There was a little reverb. Thank you, Sarah, for that. And Marisa, can you let us know a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I recently put out a documentary about my experience at Facialteam. I'm also an improviser at a really cool place called a Twitch stream called 2MB Studios, and we are on a show called Once Upon a Doodle. I've also done a lot of musical improv around the United States, played in Chicago and New York. Yeah, and I just mostly try to get attention.
That sounds like both of you have a lot of fun in the work that you do. And today, as part of your comedy, you are also quite good storytellers. And your own stories have some amazing interest in things to share with us here today. Your experiences in particular with FFS and any other trouble that you are both getting into these days. So, and I just want to let everybody that's here now or who's listening in, at the end of the video, Marisa is going to do a little improv song. So please stay tuned here and listen in at the end for that little improv music. I'm really excited about that. So today's topic, as I mentioned, is about the stories we have to tell and the amazing storytelling that both of our guests have here today. So Sarah, could we start with you a little bit, please? Can you tell us, first of all, a little bit more about the Sarah O'Connell Show? What is it exactly?
Sure. So I launched the Sarah O'Connell Show in 2016, and the idea is that I speak to people largely that I just find interesting, and it can be one of the biggest stars in the world, or it can be a first-time director. And I love talking about not only their latest projects, but how they got there all the way through their life. So, you know, if it's a filmmaker, what did they first aspire to be? What did they study at college and university, if they did that, or any independent filmmaking they did as their first job? Or a comedian, what it's like the first time on stage, were they really nervous? Did they get booed off? All that good stuff. Which leads up to the people that we know and love today. So people that enjoy and celebrate their work now will get to find out about their latest projects, but people that are also interested in that industry can also perhaps find their own path to doing it themselves, get some good tips, and hopefully have some fun and maybe laugh too.
Very interesting.
Hmm.
How many videos, approximately, or interviews have you done, Sarah?
I don't keep track, but I know I've gone past 150, and I've probably filmed the next 20 episodes already as well. Been very busy since lockdown. So yeah, I kind of try and put out a video once a week or twice a week if I'm in the mood to. But yeah, so there's always some good stuff there, and lots of good stuff on the way too.
And for Trans Day of Visibility in
Mm.
particular, you did a very special video, a compilation with different celebrities. How many different celebrities were in that?
Don't actually know. I've done a few videos since that. So there was quite a few. I can't remember if it was 30
There's a
something or 50
lot.
something. It was a lot. And I actually did two videos. So the one with the celebrities I released the day before Trans Day of Visibility, and that had Stephen Fry and Judd Apatow, Catherine Ryan, Nigella Lawson, Matt Lucas, lots of British people, but also American actors and actresses and voiceover artists and chefs and amazing people around the world that just happen to be trans allies as well. So I invited them onto my show to give their support and share any stories that they may have that they've helped support the community. And then on the actual day of Trans Day of Visibility, I invited the community around the world, as I do every year, to say why visibility is important to them.
Right. And that I think was an amazing video because it showed the widespread support for the trans community, which we ultimately really need right now in particular. You've also done a lot of work in educating.
Mm.
Um, you've been on the BBC, you've been on ITV. Can you tell us a little bit about that side of the work that you do?
Yeah, sure. So I think education is really important, and I try and sort of reach out and help people, not just in their transition if they sort of come to me for support or advice or whatever it is, but also, just in the world, not everybody, sometimes through no fault of their own, is educated about the actual issues affecting trans people, and sometimes they've heard the wrong information when they're not actually listening to trans people themselves telling their own stories. So I was on a BBC Horizon documentary, and they followed me to South Korea on for vocal surgery that I had, and I've since been on BBC Breakfast a couple of times, interviewed live, which was fun. I helped launch an initiative internally at ITV with their employees to support people through their transition. And I've done things at The Guardian and Endemol Shine and Warner Brothers and lots of other great companies, NBC Universal as well, to help educate their staff and just try and make the world a bit kinder and better for everyone, really.
It's tremendous work that you're doing, Sarah.
I'm
Thank you so
exhausted.
much. Thank you so much for all of that work, which I'm sure is largely volunteer. Um, you're also now a moderator for the Facialteam
Yes.
peer group as a little side hustle.
That's my side hustle. Yeah, so I went to Facialteam 5 years ago to get a brand new face, and I've been a member of the group ever since. And I've always tried to be active in it or follow what people are posting and stuff like that. And you very kindly invited me to help with the moderating of the group to make it a kind, lovely place where people could go and get information, talk about their upcoming trip to Marbella, perhaps for a consultation or surgery, and so that people have someone to talk to perhaps when they're in Marbella or to connect with other people, and then post operatively and to help support people considering it as well.
Yeah, and you're doing a fantastic job. So thank you again for that too. We're
Thank you
really
very
happy to
much.
have you as a moderator. And Marissa, you're also in the group. Um, and you shared a wonderful documentary which you made. And what I would like to hear from both of you right now is about what it's like in terms of accessing any healthcare that you may have needed during COVID. So Marissa was here in Marbella in July for her surgery, but even in your own countries, what's it like right now, the whole insecurity that's I get the sense that a lot of people are feeling about access to general health care.
Marissa, would you like to go first, or shall I? Or
Sure, I'll go
go for
first.
it. Yeah.
I mean, America in general kind of has a disastrous healthcare system. It's probably no secret or new knowledge here, but as far as getting healthcare. I recently, well, like right before my trip, I had to go get COVID testing in a variety of forms. And then I think I ended up paying $120 for that testing. And that was just like a simple, blood test and thing in the nose, which felt awful. But yeah, but I went to the hospital as well, not so long ago for a checkup, and it was about $280 for someone to look at me and say, "Go right." But they did have like free, at least they had like free masks that you have to wear, and they had like procedure and things like that. So it's, at least in the New England area, people care about COVID and are doing things about it, but it's expensive.
And what I'd like to hear more about is about specifically your own personal health care access or trans related healthcare access, maybe for hormones or just for,
Mhm.
your standard healthcare checkups, that maybe you need somebody who's sensitive, um, to your trans history. Have you noticed that being any more difficult now during COVID?
For me, I'm lucky enough to live in the Northeast, the New England area, and everyone's pretty caring and sensitive about those matters. I so I haven't really had any trouble. I know that there are other areas of the country where that's not necessarily true. I've heard stories about people who experienced a lot of setbacks. Um, so that's definitely a factor, but I haven't really noticed anything.
Okay. How about you, Sarah?
So in general, I had to get a dental appointment back in March, and they cancelled it because they were cancelling all routine appointments. And then I finally managed to get one in September, and so they're super careful. So when you get there, you have to phone up. You can't even go into the building. Someone comes down, takes your temperature to make sure you haven't got the plague or anything. And then you go inside, you have to have a mask on, and you have to pay extra for all the protective clothing that the dentists wear because they're kind of one use only. So there's like an extra charge for that at the moment. And yeah, I'd say that, so the NHS is great, but it's underfunded and understaffed just in general. I know that people waiting to get just their first appointment at a gender identity clinic in the UK can be waiting up to 4 years at the moment. They promise they're going to open 3 new facilities to help people, but at the moment people are waiting far too long for it, and not everyone is being fully versed in the best ways to look after patients that happen to be trans.
So it's a challenge. I would say more so now than usual.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think obviously it's difficult for everyone at the moment, and doctors are certainly advising to make phone calls rather than go into the doctor surgery for non-essential stuff. And we can still get prescriptions and hormones and stuff like that, but yeah, you just, I think, have to allow a lot more time and expect maybe to be stood in a queue for a while, a line to get whatever medication or whatever that you need. And social distancing is obviously super important too. But you just, I think, have to plan ahead a lot more than you usually would have to.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we have a couple of people here watching now in YouTube and someone here from Wisconsin. Hello.
Hello, Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin, they're saying the healthcare there is subpar. And also somebody who is Spanish but lives in the UK,
I love that
long-time
person.
resident, and also says that is asking Sarah that the waiting list, yeah, the waiting lists are just long, and like you said 3 or 4 years. I've heard that so many times. So
It's supposed to be 18 weeks for the first appointment, and I certainly know nobody that's had that. I know people that have missed an appointment they didn't know they had because they weren't told about it. Then it get cancelled and they're thrown out of the entire system and have to start again. It's horrible. So hopefully they can do something to reduce that so that people can get the treatment and care that they need.
So we have somebody here too from Arkansas. Thank you very much for coming in and listening. So Marissa, to go back to you and talking about traveling in times of COVID, can you tell us a little bit about your experience and the mini documentary that you made about that coming to Spain for facial feminization surgery?
Sure. Yeah, I filmed a little 30-minute doc about it. I cut so much footage out of the traveling portion of it because honestly, most of it was just me crying in the corner. But like I essentially I got to the Boston Logan Airport and they told me without any uncertain terms, you're not going to Spain. Um, and my only answer to that was just to like cry and like hand them the doctor's note that Facialteam offers. In which case they said, "Well, I tell you what, we should stop you, but what we're going to do is send you to Newark, which is in New Jersey, and we'll let them deal with you because we don't really want a crying woman in the lobby, I guess." um, and that sort of just worked until I got to Sweden, um, and then I don't know if it was just sunken cost or what, but they were like, "Well, you already made it this far, you might as well just keep going." And then when I got to Spain, no one checked my boarding pass, or sorry, no one checked my documents, and I just walked on through. Um, but most of the experience was me assuming that I would definitely not make it through. I had a friend, Christy LaSalle. She's amazing, and she was like, we'll raise the $10,000 to get you a private jet to get you in." She had like lawyers on the phone, and I was like calling the consulate at 2 o'clock in the morning and saying, "Hey, is there anything I can do?" And they were like, "Just call whenever on Monday when you get to Zurich." And I just didn't. Um, yeah, it was kind of a weird and crazy, wild, stressful experience. I lost my phone. I talked to horrible people. There were people fighting on it, like physically punching each other on the plane. I was
Yeah.
really lucky that I got through.
Yeah, it's an incredible documentary, and I recommend our viewers to have a look at it. And we have some people here writing in the group. Someone from Switzerland, Carla from Switzerland. Marissa, she has a question for you. And she left La Villa a few minutes before you got there. So she's saying hi. Shout out
Hi.
to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've just shared in the comments a link to some of Marissa's projects. So please do check that link in the comments and find out more about what Marissa's working on there. Sarah, you also made a little video, but it was a long time ago. I don't know if
It
that video
was
even
it was
exists anymore.
it was so long ago. It was in black and white. We didn't have sound yet. It was very grainy, and there was someone needs to play the piano live because there's no music, obviously, and subtitles come up at the bottom. No, so I made a little video when I was there with the group of people that I was sort of staying with and spent 2 weeks with in Marbella. So I wanted to sort of capture that time as best as I could, and I interviewed everyone that was sort of with me for that 2 weeks about their experiences. There were people that had come over from America, and two groups of people actually, and Australia as well. And when you're there, it's very much like a community, and it's such an amazing experience because once you've had surgery, then you're in Marbella and you're on holiday, and it's gorgeous there, and it's the best place to sort of just relax and visit in general. But if you're recovering too, it's amazing. So I think towards the end of my stay, I was starting to miss it. So I did the video as much for myself as for other people, to try and capture a bit of my time there.
I'm gonna see if I can find, yes, I've got your video testimonial here, and I'm just gonna share it. Um, in the comments with everybody as well.
Sure. I filmed about 50 of them. Every time I would catch up with Lilia and Facialteam in London, they'd get me to do another updated one. And Lilia would mess my hair up a bit when she was taking photos. It's a whole thing, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I felt like that was the one thing I sort of missed out on with the whole Facialteam thing, was like we didn't really have the group sessions or anything like that. There wasn't like a place that we all stayed and hung out and like bonded over the surgery experience, and then like and then trying to experience Marbella. I mean, it was like during COVID times. It's decently open. Like it wasn't like it wasn't like everything was closed down or anything, but it was definitely still a little surreal.
Yeah, but did you feel safe while you were in Marbella, Marisa?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. I felt like I could just walk around, and I had my mask on and an umbrella, so I looked a little bit like a loon, but I um I definitely, I could go to the beach, still do social distancing, I could eat outdoor restaurants, things like that.
So it was fairly normal, no? Business as usual, but with certain restrictions which are happening everywhere, like distancing and masks and cleaning your hands and disinfecting and that kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
Very good. So, I'd like to ask both of you. I was supposed to ask it earlier, but I skipped over it by accident. What are the most important allies in your lives? Would you like to mention anybody in particular, Marissa?
Sure. I think there are two. My my mom is insanely a good ally. um, she's constantly talking to people at church, talking to people that have business interests, and things like that, to sort of ch- challenge them when they are transphobic. She broadcasts, pro trans stuff, and uses me as like a tool for empathy. She's like, hey, I have a daughter. Let's have a conversation. And she educates herself. And then the other person is my best friend, Megan Allen, who has been there since the very, very beginning. And I definitely wouldn't have, I mean, I don't know what would have happened if she wasn't there, but she's the reason why I had the courage to do anything in the first place. And she's the one person who's had unwavering support, the whole time.
Yeah, and I'd just like to let anybody know who's watching right now or watching this at a later time that we have some testimonials from parents, partners, not just testimonials from our patients, and those are also on our YouTube channel. Just check out the playlist on testimonials, family and friends. It's called. And yes, Marissa, your mom is here. She says that she's gonna cry because she's listening to what you're saying, and your auntie too. She's in there. So thank you both for attending and watching and being a great support and ally. Um, and Sarah, how about you? Who would
So
you consider some of your most important allies in your life?
So I say, first of all, obviously Marissa's mum and auntie, because they're here today. So that means the world to me. Thank you for watching, and everyone else around the world that has joined too. I would say personally, my family have always been amazing, and so many of my friends are just brilliant. And they didn't skip a beat when I transitioned, and we're closer than ever. I'd say also, just honestly, anyone, literally anyone who takes their time to stand up for trans people and be an ally when they don't have to, and it doesn't necessarily affect them, but they're allies because they know it's the right thing to do. Just literally anyone who watches this that supports the community and wants to keep us safe and just allow us to live our lives really peacefully and get on with stuff. Just all of you are my favorite people, genuinely. Everyone at Facialteam, and yeah.
Aw, thank you, Sarah. And we have a question in the group here. Hang on a second.
Okay. I can do most questions unless they're sport related or maths. They're not my strong points. If it's history, I'm okay with. General knowledge, pop culture, I don't mind.
The trivia begins. I didn't tell you this is going to turn into a talk show,
Right?
game show.
Yeah. Amazing. I want to win a speedboat.
So we have a question from Kylie Tanner, and she wants to know, before choosing Facialteam, what made you decide to get were you considering other places, and what eventually made you both decide to have your FFS with Facialteam? Would you like to go first, Sarah?
Sure. So I spent literally years researching different surgeons around the world. I considered ones in America and Europe and in Thailand and other places as well. And I extensively would go into different forums, and because you can go to any website for any surgeon, probably, and you'll see amazing results because they always will pick the few results that are amazing in any situation. You know, like if you go to a restaurant, the menu always looks good, right? They never do the one where there's a hair in it and they dropped it on the floor. They miss those ones out. So the important thing for me was to go to all of the forums and, you know, get a consensus of people's general experiences. And also it was important to me to speak to the surgeons as well. So I had quite a few appointments with different surgeons, and I spoke to them in person about what they suggested I should have done and what I wanted to have done, and kind of got a sense of the general vibe of the people that would be doing it. And the aftercare is so important too. So that was a big thing for me. And when I first heard about Facialteam, I was like, wow, they look amazing. Like their results are consistently good. People are saying really good things about them. Your video, I watched this video about Facialteam. I don't know if you still have it. It was like a promotional video. And I was like, wow, this, like, why would I go anywhere but Marbella for the surgery? Like it just looks stunning, just in general. Like I really wanted to go there. So then I had a consultation with Facialteam in Manchester, which I remember very clearly, and I just, you know, fell in love with them. And you know that I've said this quite a lot before, but I remember when I got to Marbella. Normally, like if you have any surgery, you're anxious and you're worried. The day before the surgery, I had a consultation again, and after I was sadly looking forward to the surgery, which I've never had. The day of the surgery, the surgeons hugged me, the anesthesiologist made me laugh, and it was just the best experience. And so, you know, it was 5 years ago now, and I still regularly keep in touch with Facialteam, as you can tell, and I highly recommend them.
Thank you. I do remember that very first meeting, chatting with
Yeah,
you in the hallway of the LGBT Center in Manchester. It was Sparkle,
yeah.
and we did some presentations there and orientation sessions, and you were working on a Cosmopolitan article. Remember
I
we were
was, yeah,
talking about.
that's right.
Yeah. So, and Sarah, you came for your surgery with your family.
I did, yeah. So they came over with me, and I must add to you that a lot of people go over for the surgery by themselves, and you'll still be fully supported and safe and cared for and all that good stuff. But yeah, I came over with my family, and they're there for the entire time, and they got to, you know, go out and see Marbella with me when I was feeling up to it, and go to the restaurants and walk along the beach and go shopping and all that kind of thing. And you sort of feel very much like a family when you're there, and everyone's sort of included, and you have, even after surgery, you've got as much access to Facialteam as you want. If you've got any questions or concerns, you can email them or phone them or just go and see them. And yeah, they're amazing. So it's a great place to go if you're going with family or friends, and it's also a great place to go if you're going there by yourself.
Thank you for telling us about that experience, Sarah.
Thank
I'm
you for
sure
providing it.
that's really useful for people. And I was just looking at the some of the comments that we have here on Facebook, and there's a person here who's asking that she has an appointment with Facialteam in October, and she's concerned about the COVID situation, and if she has any advice. I just like to tell you, I think it's Nazedna, and we'll be in touch, okay? And we'll let you know, keep you updated as frequently as possible to let you know what the situation is. But currently, people are still coming to Spain and still open for tourism, and we are having consultations in Marbella. So, Marissa, did you come on your own or were you accompanied by your mom?
Oh no, I came completely by myself. I remember. So one thing I didn't mention in the documentary was that I was originally scheduled for March, and then there was a global pandemic or something, so they had to push me back. But given the fact that I think it was kind of an original plan that she was going to, but because of a global pandemic and because I was sort of, you know, MacGyvering my way out there, I didn't really necessarily feel it was a good idea to try to, bring other people along. So I 100% did it myself.
And do you feel that it would have been easier if you had companions? Do you wish that you would have been able to have somebody with you, or were you okay on your own?
I will say that if someone was there, it would have been 100% easier. Um, there was a moment in the documentary where I tried to highlight how how terrible it was to be essentially by yourself watching bad television, completely soaked in medicine, um, and just feeling that loneliness while you're all wrapped up in a place that you're unfamiliar. I mean, it doesn't matter where it would have been. Uh, it's just the situation. I highly recommend bringing someone if you can, but it's possible. I never felt like at all at any point did I feel like this is impossible. Facialteam was definitely on call. The La Villa always was around to make sure that if I like called them and was like, I need food now, it would be on my doorstep with some, fish or something. But it definitely, for emotional support reasons, was not ideal.
Yeah, it would have been better to have somebody with you, but yeah, shout out to Marcos and the staff at La Villa Marbella. We did a live stream with Marcos this summer as well, and they have their own COVID safe protocol in place too. So I recommend seeing that video in our live stream playlist. You'll find it. So thank you, Marissa, for talking a little bit about your personal experience as well. And that's, of course, really good information for people who are considering going through this and are worried about every single detail, particularly in these days um, with COVID. So changing the subject a little bit, I'd like to know a little bit more about yourselves and you as artists, as performing artists, as comedians, um, as activists. Sarah, you've been particularly consumed with a little bit of a project in the UK.
Mm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So you're talking about the letter
The
that went out
letter.
and stuff like that. So yeah, so the government has been doing a consultation for a while about the Gender Recognition Act and all that kind of stuff and reforming it and that kind of thing. And there was suggestion at one point earlier this year that they could be rolling back rights for trans people and making it a lot more unsafe for people just to live and go about their lives. And I really didn't want that to happen. So a group of us, a massive group of us, worked with a lot of organisations and to sort of see what we could do. And we put together a letter from different organisations that support trans people and they support their staff and their communities and their customers to send a really strong message that trans rights are human rights and we matter and we're not second class citizens and we shouldn't be marginalized or anything like that. And so yeah, so I spent quite a lot of time this year working on that and just trying to sort of elevate and lift the community and help support them and counter some of the, I guess, the rampant transphobia that's out there at the minute, and just to ease some of the stress that a lot of people are feeling, because with the coronavirus and lockdown and all that kind of stuff, it's hard enough for everybody. We shouldn't have to be fighting these unnecessarily manufactured battles for no reason. So I just did my part and did what I could to stand up for the community and help support the community as best I could, and I promise to continue to.
Well, thank you so much. We're really glad that you are going to continue to do that, Sarah, because it's
Yeah.
such important work. Um, I just wanted to quote something that I saw on Twitter, and I should have made note of the of who made the quote, who posted it. I'll look it up and I'll share it in the description. But it said, Black Lives Matter isn't about taking away rights away from any other people of other ethnicities. Women's Lives Matter isn't about taking away rights from men, and trans lives matter isn't about taking away any privileges from anybody else. It's just about having basic human rights. Um, so yeah, I wanted to mention that today to get that out there, so that anybody who is listening in, that's maybe a healthcare provider that is just starting out and isn't really informed yet about the whole situation, is that we're just all humans here, who want to do things like pee in the bathroom, as you do.
That's my favorite place to do it.
That's still a debate, and it shouldn't be, especially in the US.
But
Thank you.
it's not a debate. They're just trying to make it be one, and tabloids will use it as, they kind of try to feign outrage in order to get people engaging with their articles. And I looked at one particular one the other day that basically written the same article 5 times in the space of a week. And it's really bad. And, so there's transphobia around the world every single day. Black trans women, especially in America, are getting murdered at a horrific rate. I read about a trans woman in Belfast, I think it was, over the weekend, that was just out with her boyfriend having dinner and
In
having a few
Belgium.
drinks. No, Belfast in Ireland.
Yeah, there was another
Had
one in Belgium. She was, I think, killed.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah, this person was just enjoying their dinner and someone came and assaulted them. It's awful. People just want to get on with their lives. Trans people have friends and families and jobs, and some are, really struggling, with, have not being able to get employment, or homelessness and stuff like that, or having to wait 4 years for a doctor's appointment. And, we just want to get on with our lives and, go out and do stuff with our friends and watch Netflix shows and, make dinners badly because you forget they're in the oven and they burn, and then you have to scrape the burnt bits off,
And
that
do
kind of stuff.
wonderful things like make documentaries that are really interesting, that don't have anything to do with gender, just entertainment and being
Yeah,
funny, and yeah, and interviewing famous people, and just following your passions like anybody else.
exactly. And I think that life is difficult enough, and if we sort of celebrate and love and support everyone and respect people's differences and all that good stuff, I think everyone can sort of have a better life. Because I would much rather just be making fun videos to entertain people and, sort of move on from this, if it became a non-thing, as it should be, because people assume that their situation that they're born into is the default and everything else is wrong and should be stopped, because then that means that they're not special. But everyone is equal and should be equal and have equal rights. And if we celebrate differences and stuff like that, people can stop living in fear of things that they don't understand, and we can just get on with watching more of my show.
Exactly. More time watching the Sarah
Yeah,
Cohn Show.
that's beautiful.
Thank you. So yeah, that's why Facialteam has started this platform, live streams highlighting, interesting people like yourselves, both of you, and just to help normalize because it's not a non-issue yet, is it? It's something that we still need to educate people about, and that trans people are just people, folks. We're just people. So Marissa,
Hi.
you okay there?
Yeah, my cat's making fuss.
That's okay. So I wanted to ask you too. You mentioned your once part of Doodle work, and I shared the link in the comments on that. Um, what is Marissa Explains Nothing? Can you tell us a little bit more about the other things that you've been doing in the past and that you're
Sure.
trying
It's a terrible. This is a terrible thing to say. Follow up to that amazing talk. Yeah. So Marissa Explains Nothing is a. It used to be like a moniker for like my solo show when I could do live performances. But now it's just kind of a place where I'm going to be putting all my personal projects, if it's filmmaking or further documentaries or live streaming or whatever. It's sort of my content hub, I guess.
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
gonna share that in the comments too. Here is Marissa's content hub.
right.
Here we
I,
go.
I'd also like to shout out a friend of mine, Rachel Jane Andelman, or RAJ Andelman, who's been like highlighting trans women of color, and their GoFundMe is, uh, these are absolutely essential places to send money if you have it, to help people of color who are super disadvantaged, in America at least, but all over the world. Trans women of color especially have high mortality rates, especially are in need of our help. So yes, I'd like to highlight her Twitter feed. It's also very funny.
Thank you for that. So, Marissa and Sarah, do you have questions for each other? I think
So many
Marissa,
questions.
I think is here on the screen. Sarah's down here.
So my first one is what is Once Upon a Doodle? And did you consider other things like Once Upon a Noodle?
Once Upon a Noodle was a lot. It was a lot harder to do art with Noodle in real time. Once Upon a Doodle is a improv show. Don't run away just yet.
I
Where
haven't got the stamina. It's easier to sit.
Once Upon a
Anybody,
Doodle. What's up?
anybody who has ideas for an improv song, write them in the comments now.
Once Upon a Doodle is a show on our affiliate 2MB Studios. We have a live illustrator who is illustrating, characters, animals, planets, ideas. Mostly, like a cartoon. And then we have 3 to 5 voice actors who are voicing an improv show featuring those doodles. So maybe we'll have, a penguin who's like, well, I want to go to Arby's today. And then she'll draw a penguin who's like holding nothing. And then, just things like that. It's just a fun, like a cartoon come to life.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 30 minutes, so low commit.
That's always
Sarah, I have a question for you.
okay.
What like pushed you into into interviewing people? What, like, was there a life passion, or did you sort of stumble upon it, or what happened?
Sure. So I've always loved films and television and stuff like that. I studied media studies and film and video, and I've got a degree in animation as it happens, traditional animation sort of Disney style. And I always love stuff like that and chat shows and things. And I think I'm just an inquisitive person. And I love chatting to creative people and, sort of picking their brains and stuff like that. For example, I love reading autobiographies. I very rarely read fiction because I just find real life more interesting, I guess. And yeah, so it kind of started off. I mean, I've been interviewing people for about 17 years, I think, but I used to do it in a written form. So I would interview someone and then have to spend ages typing it out afterwards. And I remember sitting there, when you're rewinding it for the 50th time because you can't quite pick out the name of the obscure person that they've mentioned and it's not online, so you have to keep doing that. I thought it'd be amazing if I could film this stuff one day if I had the right equipment and lighting and all that kind of thing. And so, yeah, so it was kind of a dream for a long time to do a YouTube show or a chat show. And so I finally set it up, and I was really lucky because I had some amazing friends that happened to be kind of well known, I guess. So I invited them on my show. And then I think the fifth episode had Tom Cruise in it. That kind of helped. And then it kind of went from there. And so, yeah, I've been really lucky to. I spoke to Peter Ramsey, who's the Academy Award winning director of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Last week, I spoke to Rachel Lee Cook, who was in She's All That and Jason the Pussycats. And, loads of amazing people around the world. And I just sort of love doing it, really.
You can't complain about that. That's amazing.
It's true. So yeah, it sort of keeps me entertained. And I've done a few episodes live as well at film festivals where I've interviewed actors and directors and stuff with an audience, which is fun. And I'd love to do more of that in the future when we don't have to socially distance as much, maybe, and I can invite some people into a room to entertain them.
Cool.
Thank you, Sarah, for talking more about that. And I've shared the link to your channel in the comments. So please check down the comments for all the links that we're sharing. And we have a suggestion, people. We have a suggestion.
Exciting.
It's in the comments.
Are we about to do that part of it?
But before okay. First, yes, I'm going to do it in just 1 second. But beforehand, I'd like to know if you feel that facial feminization surgery or facial gender surgery has affected your careers in a positive way or a neutral way.
I guess for me, it just means I don't have to think about it. And this is really stupid, but I love it's been 5 years. I really love my nose. Like, I love the angle of my nose. And I don't know, I just it makes me happy when I look at it. So that's kind of a personal thing. And I think it just alleviates stress, certainly for me. So it's just, one less thing to be dysphoric about. And you can sort of just get on with your life and finally see yourself in the mirror, which is a really super important thing. It doesn't come up on a day-to-day basis. No one really sort of knows I've had surgery unless I mention it to them. But yeah, and I'm so glad that I did it and that I researched it as well as I did. And yeah, I think I'm happy that I did it, but it's a personal thing for every single person. So it's only if it's right for you to have surgery, you might not need surgery. I wanted it and I'm so glad that I had it. And yeah, so here we are.
Fantastic. How about you, Marisa?
Kind of a weird situation, but there's been a pandemic, so it's not. I haven't even gotten to like go out and be like, but I work as a game developer, so I don't have. There's not a lot in appearance. But again, I'm going to echo Sarah's comment and say that, when I got the surgery, I knew I was getting it for my own personal reasons. I tried to not focus on external things like career or romantic persuasions or anything else. It was just more of something to alleviate dysphoria. And for me, it was a 100% success. I don't have facial dysphoria like I used to, and that's worth the price of admission.
That's very important. Absolutely. So, takeaway messages. What would you like to leave for our listeners today and people who come back to watch this video replay? Do you have a special message that you would like to close with?
My takeaway message would be either Chinese or pizza. They're great takeaways to have, or fast food in America. I suppose that joke doesn't necessarily work internationally. I don't know. I would just say take care of yourself. Take time to sort of relax and look after yourself, and know that if you're watching this and you feel alone, the community is always there for you, and there's lots of people that love you and are fighting in your corner around the world. So keep being your amazing, authentic self, live your best life, subscribe to the Sarah O'Connell Show, and have a lovely week.
How about you, Marisa?
One, subscribe to the Sarah O'Connell Show. Two, if you're thinking about FFS, try to focus on what it's going to do for you and not external factors. And then absolutely take care of yourself first. And then, I think that's the most important thing. Also, documenting the experience the best you can, for me, helped me process all of those emotions. I got to sort of tell the story I wanted to tell out of the experience versus like letting it morph into something else. And I highly recommend it. It's definitely a great tool to sort of, make the experience what you want of it.
I agree with both of you. It's absolutely a personal thing, hashtag it's for me. Like Sarah said, it's not for everybody. Some people don't need it or want it, and that's fine too. So it's time, Marisa. Let me tell you, we've got Terabyte has said the lake or ground floor, and then we have the lovely Regina who said Marissa's cat or life is good because. And I don't know if Sarah, do you have any suggestions?
I would love to hear a song about mashed potatoes or lunar eclipses.
Ooh. So there you have quite a selection, Marisa, to choose from.
Great. So let me get this straight. I got the lake, mashed potatoes, and life is good.
Life is good because and ground floor.
All right. Great. One thing in life that I haven't chose, it's a lake full of mashed potatoes. I will tell you there's nothing better when those potatoes get so wetter. Oh, 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 oh. One thing that makes life in Santa Fe is everything I can say about the crescent moon in the sky. And oh man, I'm so sorry. My brain is broken this morning.
No, you did awesome. What are you talking about?
Oh man,
I loved it. Was it a lake of mashed potatoes? That was
awesome. Yeah, I think typically it works a little bit better than that.
Well, I'm impressed, I have to say,
really
because
good.
I would only be able to hold two things, and we gave you 4 or 5. So
yeah, I usually get the one. And that might have been my problem.
I kind of made it difficult too because obviously there's been a lot of songs about mashed potatoes and lunar eclipses, so it's hard to know where to go with those.
It's hard to know how to be unique when there's so many potato songs out there.
Yeah.
True.
The Monster Mash.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Marissa. That was awesome. I really loved it. And I'm sure that our listeners loved it too and will love it. You're so talented. Both of you are very, very talented. So let us know, how can listeners contact you if they want to get more information or get in touch with you personally? Sarah?
Oh, okay. So I am on Twitter at Sarah O underscore Connell, and on Facebook and Instagram on Sarah O'Connell Show. Also Sarah O'Connell Show on YouTube as well. Or yeah, just if you see me in the
Anywhere.
street, say hello.
And you, Marissa? How can people contact you?
You can search Marissa Explains Nothing or Marissa Explains Nothing on YouTube, Facebook, and yeah, check out 2MB Studios on Twitch.
Awesome. Really looking forward to the new stuff you're both coming out with, creating some really interesting content. So thank you both for joining me today. It's been fun.
Thank you for being an amazing host. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for your questions, and everybody watching as well, and for all your questions and feedback and stuff like that. You've been an amazing audience, and I've loved spending time with all of you around the world.
Lovely. So thanks again, everybody who's watching this video now or in recording. Let's give a hand. Please show your support and give a hand in the comments. Clap away. Viewers, your input and lobbying are important. Don't forget that. Keep talking to us and let us know what you want to hear. But more importantly, if you're an ally or not, a healthcare professional working in the LGBTQI plus community, show your support now. Please send messages to your legislators, your MPs, tweet the powers that be, and do whatever you can to help the charities like Trans People of Color and Stonewall in the UK continue their work so basic human rights like healthcare access, healthcare are respected. Please stay tuned for our upcoming live, same time, same place, talking about new pathways with veteran trans lobbyist Jenny Ann Bishop of the UK and Dr. Jen Hurley of Trans New York City next week here, Wednesday, live. So thank you. Join also our patient group, the peer group, which Sarah is a moderator of on Facebook. We'll put the link here in the comments and also check for the links in the descriptions. Click like, share, follow the channel, share with your lovely friends. Stay safe, everybody. Stay happy. Try to laugh. If you can, just watch this video again and we'll help you laugh. Despite the circumstances, it's important to laugh. So please, your happiness matters. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks,
Don't go
everyone.
anywhere, Marissa and Sarah. Stay here. Don't go. Bye-bye.
I'm here all day.